Hello and welcome to another double Doctor Who episode of Journeys in Fandom. Yay!
Yay! After a week's hiatus, we're back for more
Yep.
Doctor Who flavoured goodness.
Yes.
You can tell by the excitement.
So,
Just for context, Matt has watched the 2 episodes back to back in the last hour or 2 hours or so, whereas I watched them when they were on. So you can tell why he's excited, and I'm even more excited.
yeah. Because I have done a weekend at UK Games Expo.
I thought it was that.
I can see through time. Yeah.
I saw the TikToks and I thought, oh, that's where you'll be. You'll be at Game Expo this weekend.
Yeah. I hate my life. I'm ruined. I am physically, emotionally dead. I just, remember our convention days where we could do like Milton Keynes, we'd do like 4 days. It would be fine. Oh, I wish I was that age again. Oh God.
Yeah, you used to
I'm feeling my 40s. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, you used to do 4 days in London.
I used to swan around for 4 days on jelly babies and a cup of tea. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm spent. Yeah. Also, dear Doctor Who cosplayers, do not call disabled people Davros. You sound like a twat.
Well, that was the whole point why Russell rewrote Davros, because everyone says that everyone's just disablest and all disabled people are evil, wasn't it? That was the reason why he recast him.
Yeah. No, we had a lovely 4th Doctor cosplayer come up to us and chat to Josie and sort of say, oh, Davros, you've dyed your hair just because she happens to be in a wheelchair. Mate.
Oh, yeah.
Twat. Yeah.
Well, there were Doctor Who cosplayers at like a board games expo thing there.
Yes. Galactic Knights.
Oh,
so they get a black mark in my book.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, that's even worse if it's like people who are hired. It's not like just a rando walking along. Ooh.
Yeah. If I had a book, that'd have a black mark in it.
Galactic Knights, you've been warned. Whoever you are, wherever you are.
Well, we didn't do that in our day, did we? Did we?
Well, no. The thing is with that is they're paid people to be there. If they were just some rando cosplayer, not that you can excuse it, but you could say, well, it's just a random person I didn't know of. But this person's been paid to go there. And they go around insulting.
Do better. Just do better. I'm grumpy and old and lack of tea. Just
tired.
Rage. I am tired. Yeah, so this is going to probably be a rant, but hey, it'll be fine.
Right. Before we jump into that, let's look at the ratings, because the ratings we've got loads of ratings to look at.
Ooh, I love a bit of ratings.
So, last time we spoke, the ratings, the ratings are in. The overnight ratings are in for 1 and 2.
Yeah,
we've now got the 7-day and 7-day plus 4, whatever that means. Final consolidated figures also takes into account views on PCs, tablets, and smartphones. So it's trying to be positive, but it's not looking that good.
Is it my imagination, or is there a downward trend being seen here?
Yeah, there's a blip for 73 yards, and then it's gone down again. So it was down. Boom was really down. That was just over. That was the worst ratings since Jodie, I think. And then it blipped for 73 yards, because I think that obviously was quite intriguing. And then it dropped again. I think the thing for me is when the first overnight ratings came in, all the positive spin was, well, we'll wait until the iPlayer comes out because everyone watched it at midnight. It'll be a lot better. It's not about the TV ratings, which it's not, and we've agreed multiple times that it's not about the TV ratings. But then the iPlayer ratings come in, and it's not any better. It's not even double.
No,
and that is really bad. It's not the iPlayer ratings for, I suppose, for episode 3. Boom did make a bit of a difference. It pushed it. It pushed it. It got an extra 1 million, but some of the others, it's not good, really.
Well, like we said, do ratings actually matter? Or is it just Disney and the Beeb and RTD and all that are just throwing cash at this? And as long as it gets views, well, that just means ratings matter, doesn't it? As long as it sells itself. So I'm assuming, I don't know how TV works anymore. How do you actually make money out of TV anymore?
It's interesting because it has the Disney buy-in.
Yeah,
I think we talked about it in the previous podcast. You don't see ratings on Disney Plus like you do on iPlayer, and it's all to do with clicks and stuff like that. So I don't think we'll ever see Disney Plus ratings for Doctor Who. So I don't know how they actually
for the Beeb. So Disney have said, here is a big wad of cash. Let us play with Doctor Who. And surely the BBC just going, cool, actually, if no one watches it, it's irrelevant because it's paid for. Is that me being a cynic?
Yeah, essentially, this year, this thing was a 2-season deal, paid for up front, basically funded by Disney. So whatever they were going to do, they were always going to do 2 series. And then after that, who knows, I guess. I'm just looking to see if I can find anything about Disney Plus ratings, but you can't find anything because they don't, even things like Star Wars and Marvel, they don't give out granular ratings like that, so we'll never know. It is interesting because for the first time ever in this series, I watched to the end of the episode, so the one that's just gone. I just watched all the titles because we wanted to watch this trailer, and I noticed that when the logos come up at the end, Disney's comes before BBC. It's Disney on the left, BBC on the right, which I thought was quite like Disney first, BBC second, which is just an observation, but it kind of highlights what we say. BBC, it's very much secondary now in this relationship.
I'm going to pose a question that will probably come back to multiple times in this podcast over the rest of this season and next season. Has Who reached its point where it needs to go in a cupboard and have a little nap and think about what it's done for a while?
We said it before, didn't we? I think it has. I think it'd be interesting to see what happens between the gap between the end of this series and the start of the next one, because they finished filming the second one, so it's all done. It's in the can. But are we going to see contract renegotiations? Are we going to see rumors? Is RTD going to stay? Is Shootigato going to stay? All that kind of stuff. I suppose if now's the time for it to go away, it makes sense. And just go away, and people start to miss it in five years, bring it back. Who knows? We've always said it's not as popular as it was. And for better or for worse, the Whittaker era killed off what was left of the goodwill, and then Russell came back, and dare I say it, has made it worse. All the controversy over the way the series has shifted its focus has alienated more people by the looks of things. For whatever reason.
But then again, like the Metro article said, it's not for us, so we can't have an opinion.
No, so what?
I'm sorry, and I don't want to sound negative, but I'm just jaded. I just think I've got to a point in my life where I'm just jaded with everything, and unfortunately, Doctor Who is going to get both barrels of it. And I don't want to be negative. I just don't. But God, please, someone.
I'm deploying the background, folks. The old man yells a cloud has been deployed. Right. So
I am old, and I'm about to shout some clouds.
So let's talk about 73 yards, or 66.75 meters, if you're a metric. We'll come to that in a minute, but there we go. How are we going to tackle this one? Because this was an interesting episode on multiple levels.
So it started, and then they hit the fairy nest, whatever it was. And then obviously Ruby gets separated, and it's a no Doctor story. And I went, okay,
Doctor Who light story.
Yeah. it's a companion focus. We're going to get to see the companions acting chops. It's going to be great. And for the first part, what's the mystery? What's occurring? What's happening? And then it just kept going, and nothing happened, and nothing changed, and you discover nothing.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I'm trying to think how best to describe it. It was. I'm trying to think. Someone described it as a mystery box episode where you didn't actually get to see the mystery box, which made it more frustrating than. Sometimes you get a mystery in an episode where you just don't know what's going on, but it's quite good and you can theorize. This was too much of a mystery. It was too big.
Yeah.
And it ended up being more frustrating than being satisfying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So I think the issue for me is the mystery at the start of the episode is the same mystery at the end of the episode, and you learn nothing other than the person doing the voodoo in the background, like this fucking YMCA in the background, is old Ruby. And you just go, all right, cool. How? Why? Just what? The whole people talk to her and then they say, "Oh, ask her," and they run away, and it's all just. I don't.
This
rage.
is another one. I think for me, like Maestro, had a really good germ of an idea that just didn't have any. What's the word? It didn't fulfill itself. So I think if we break it down a little bit, had it been a fairy tale, the whole running joke thing in the pub where they scare her with the story of Mad Jack, if that had been the actual storyline of the episode, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Where it's some kind of weird fairy creature, and someone pointed out somewhere that I've forgotten it, the Torchwood episode where you had the fairies that were kidnapping kids and then they brought them back as adults. If it had been something like that where they'd interfere with the fairy circle and it had been a fairy god that had kidnapped the Doctor and she had to find him again, that would have been great. And if the old woman had turned out to be the fairy or the witch or something like that, that would have been really cool, because it's leaning into this gods and actually, what's her face? Lethbridge Stewart lady actually said, didn't she? She said UNIT now deals with more supernatural than aliens, which kind of like this really ham-fisted way of saying this is what this series is all about now. But it could have been that, couldn't it? If she'd been a ghost, a goblin, a fairy, a god, and not future Ruby, it would have kind of worked. I thought that was really cool.
And again, when you meet Mad Jack, you go, oh, actually, this is going to be her mission is to stop him, like she thought. We go, oh yeah, cool, I can get behind this. And you go, oh, he's been elected, and okay, it's now happening. He's going to be prime minister, and he's going to nuke the world, apparently, because that's definitely how that all works.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing of, if I just stand in the middle of a football pitch and work out where she's going to be, and then she's standing next to him, and suddenly you go, what? And he runs away.
Because that was interesting, because him as an actor and as a character was really good, but it should have been a story on its own. It should have been a separate story. And it reminded me, and I don't know if you've seen it, Russell wrote a really good series called Years and Years, which is basically...
No.
It's worth finding it. It's basically a period about 35 years into the near future, where focused on this family of characters, and there's about Emma Thompson plays this kind of sort of right-wing populist person that gets into power as prime minister, and it's all this kind of stuff that might happen in the near future. And it reminded me of that, but in a very condensed, squashed down blob, that if he could have fitted into that series, and I think that's kind of where that kind of came from. But yeah, it was kind of like, all right, he's going to be the baddie, but we're 3/4 of the way through the episode. It doesn't make sense. It was kind of rushed. It was kind of on fast forward through that. And I think, it's a waste, because he seemed like a really good character. They could have really built on and made him very Harold Saxon-ish kind of thing, but ground down to earth. So, and also, it was the throwaway line that the Doctor said at the start about him, and then suddenly that was what she was there to do. It didn't make sense. It was a bit weird. So
just the whole
two stories kind of blended over, with a third story of this timey-wimey thing happening with her. the aging of Ruby was rubbish. So like she went from how old is she in real life? She's like early 20s, and they aged her to about our age by just basically putting a big pair of glasses on her and a wig.
That hurt.
Yeah, she's young. So what he did was
our age.
stuck a wig on her, gave us some big glasses, and that was all they did with her. And it was kind of like, it's a bit hokey. It's a bit hokey.
But I also saw a thing that sort of said Star Wars aging as well. So she goes young. Oh God. Yeah. She aged like Obi-Wan. Yeah.
Suddenly she's an old woman and she's only like 50. It was. I watched because the one thing, and we jump around a little bit. Views from an 8-year-old section. My son pointed out that is the woman talking in sign language. Because she's moving her hands and she's doing all that. And I thought, is it sign language that she's actually doing? But we never got to find out because they never explained it. And I watched Doctor Who Confidential, and apparently the actress was given a set series of things to say, like a mini monologue that made nothing, and a series of hand gestures to do. Could have been sign language, but that would have been really cool if it had been sign language, but you didn't actually get told. So you had to, if someone knew sign language, they could read it. That would have been quite a nice cool little thing. But we didn't get that.
And also, just having obviously watched it 45 minutes ago, so when Ruby's mum speaks to her, the phone doesn't work properly, and she goes, I can't hear what she's saying, even though she's literally there on the phone. And then the next thing you know, when unit happens,
she hears it in her earpiece.
It's literally an earpiece. Just what the hell?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I just don't.
And also, when the unit,
and they all go. So literally the whole unit network hears it.
But when the Prime Minister dude runs away, he's standing on a stage with loads of other people setting up the stage, and he's the only one that runs away. So many holes. One thing that someone pointed out on TikTok, and I was like, that's quite clever, and I don't know whether it was relevant or not, is way back, and I had to go and research it in Matt Smith, Hungry Earth. He was with Rory and Amy, and they see themselves in the distance from the future, and they're all blurry. And someone said, that's really clever because it's kind of seeing someone from a distance, so they're all blurry. And I thought it was quite good, but turns out what Russell did, and I think this is quite cool, I'll give him his dues on this. He stood in Swansea and looked at people from a distance until he got a passerby who was really blurry, and then went to that point and measured it to see how far it was, and it was 73 yards, so that's how he made it up. But the thing that got me is, who talks in yards these days, except for the Americans and sports people? It's meters, isn't it? English people speak in miles, possibly, or meters. We never go, that's 50 yards away. We go, that's about 10 meters, isn't it? You never really talk in measurements of yards. Yeah, so I found that a bit odd that's the measurement people talking. I know it makes sense because it's a cool episode title. I'll let them have that, but it's just an interesting observation of yards. But the whole concept of the blurriness and the future and the way he measured it in real life, I thought that was quite good. I let him have that. That's quite good.
And like she was she's going, I've measured it. It's exactly this far. Okay, Ruby, how did you measure it? Are you literally like finding a point that she's standing next to and then measuring where you were? And
that was the wibbly wobbly phony wony, wasn't it? She just used the app.
Wibbly wobbly phony wony. God. It's like don't stand on the grass on a football pitch, otherwise the police will shoot you. No, they won't.
Because she works for the Prime Minister's team, so why she's allowed to be there? It was just that was a bit bizarre. It's kind of like I don't know. It felt like there was 3 stories there, and they all got squashed together, and there was no ending to it. And the whole Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, continue. I've got a tangent to go off on.
It was the whole timey-wimey thing. It's Ruby all along, and that was a separate story in itself, isn't it? It's basically, I'm sure we've seen that before, Doctor Who, where it turns out that the person is the same person. And I suppose that means if they've already done it in this episode, they can't make Ruby her own mother in the finale. It has to be something else, because they've already done the timey-wimey time loop thing already.
Who knows? She's going to be her own mum, her own dad, her own grandma, I reckon. Who the hell knows anymore?
In this episode, Susan Twist was back in, wasn't she? She got a conversational piece with her. So this was the first episode where Ruby kind of vaguely recognised her, although she didn't recognise Ruby.
Yeah. Well, no, what I was going to say, at the beginning of the episode when you had the Mad Jack pub scene, when she's standing in front of the windows behind her head, I honestly thought there was going to be some jump scare where suddenly she'll step away and there'll be something there behind her. And I was so prepared for it. Then when it didn't happen, I went, It was kind of... Yeah.
Yeah, that was... It was.
Yeah. The lightning was going, and it was all... Yes, it was very much horror and... it was very American Werewolf in London, wasn't it? Just going, the bloody pub, the dart stops in the air kind of thing.
And if they'd done an episode like that, where it was very jump scary, very creepy, it would have been great. But they kind of went creepy, creepy, creepy. Boring, 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 timey-wimey. Because it was boring. The second half was just like...
And also,
really?
Stupid question, why did the Doctor disappear?
Where did he go?
Was it just because obviously he broke the string, but then she reads the things. And I'm going, well, actually, you both messed up here. Did he have his own version where he was his own ghost thing, doing the old thing in the background?
And if it's been a ghost, goblin, fairy, magic thing, it would have made sense, but it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a science fiction reason for it. It was just he just disappeared. And she kind of she ended up going to a time loop of herself.
Yeah, I just don't know anymore.
Yeah, it had, again, lots of good ideas, not well executed, and tried to be something, too many things at once. I think that was it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is obviously a truncated series, so it's only 8 episodes, isn't it? And the Christmas expedition dump.
Yeah.
So does this series know what it wants to be? Is it so used to doing like 13 episodes, it's just going, oh God, what do I do? And like is squishing what should be 2-part episodes into 45 minutes of mess.
Actually. Yeah, it's a good point, because it's obviously it's been devised. It's actually, that's a really good point. Does the series know what it's trying to do? And what it's trying to do is squashed into a smaller time frame. So for better or for worse, Whittaker's first series was very preachy and they tried to change too many things, but at least they had a system and they were sticking to it. It was a very good system, but they stuck to it. This seems to veer from political messaging to a little bit of sci-fi to fantasy, and it's all mixed together, and there's no real continuity to it. And what are they trying to squish too much in to such a short time? Yeah,
this has been like RTD knows what he's doing, but it feels like this is his first job.
Yeah,
this is the problem. You're going, where's your overarching plan here? So is this series designed to introduce the Americans to Doctor Who again? Is it designed to reset everything and set a new mythos completely? Or is it just one-off episodes that we just don't care about?
It's weird, because some people are saying, oh, he's lost his touch and he can't write for TV anymore. But it's not true, because like, say, years and years, that was to 2023, I think it was. Brilliant. Not seen It's a Sin. Apparently it's really good. He's written that. He's written stuff recently, unlike Moffat. He's written things like within the last 2 years that have been really good for TV. So it's not as if he's been like on hiatus and has just come back and he's just not any good anymore, which it does happen to people. So I genuinely don't know what's gone wrong.
I think it's also not a question of does Doctor Who know what it wants to be, is what is the target audience for this show? Because
that's a good
if there
point.
is one, it's going to be real niche. And you go, well, actually, like some episodes, various people have defended and said, oh, this is fantastic, and other people have hated. And you go, okay, so what is your target demographic? And like the Metro said, we're not it.
You'd
I'm not bitter
argue
about that one at all, am I?
You'd argue that Doctor Who should be for families. It should be, because the cliche is when you watch it as a kid, you hear behind a sofa, got scared of the Daleks, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It's like a rite of passage for everyone in the UK. And it should be for families. But is it a family show? But then at the same time, has family TV changed so much that the concept of family TV as we know it doesn't exist? Because like my son watches it, he found Boom really boring. He found some of the episodes I didn't find that great. He didn't. This one, 73 yards. He liked the concept of it, but got really annoyed at the end because it was like, well, what was? He kind of said, what's the point in that?
Yeah, I'm there with him. Just what the hell was that?
And the dot and bubble thing. He doesn't want to watch that yet because he saw the trailer and didn't really like it, which is fair enough, and he'll probably get around to watching it anyway. But that's got its own slant anyway. So I don't know. I would say Doctor Who should be for families, but I think there's so many things thrown into the mix that it's watering down that simple family enjoyment. Because I always remember going to a convention. It was the one where it was the Daleks versus the Cybermen, that episode in Torchwood Tower. Didn't really like it. I didn't have any children at the time, but the kids that were in the audience thought it was amazing because the Daleks were fighting the Cybermen, whereas the adults were kind of going, it's a bit rubbish. That's what it should be. It should just be aliens shooting at each other, be a bit mindless. And I'm not seeing that in this series. I'm not really seeing anything that is kind of like, really exciting for kids. It just seems a bit, I don't know. Doesn't seem to be those standout moments where a kid could look back on that series and go, do you remember that alien? Or, do you remember that? It just seems a bit...
And again, like, there are no episodes so far that I really want to watch again.
True.
To be fair, I didn't want to watch them the first time, if I'm honest. But here we are podcasting. But this is the problem. Like, there are older episodes where you go, I could watch that again and again and again. Yeah. And it's fine. It can be like comfort TV.
Yeah,
and like this is from... Well, no, this is all of Who. There's some stories from like old Who and new Who. You go, actually, you know what? I can just have it on the background and it's good fun. And you can quote half of it. You can just literally go, I know what's coming. I can do it word for word kind of thing. And you go, that's good fun and just good, solid TV. And it might be rotating spectacles, but they're comfort telly. And the new stuff, I'm going, oh no, this is not the one.
No, I think there's nothing there that I would go, I'll watch that again. But yeah, the other day I was thinking, I might watch the Capaldi Orient Express one because that's one of my faves, and I just saw a clip of it on TikTok and went, I'll watch that again because I really enjoyed that episode. So you're right, you can just watch it. You've seen it 100 times before, and you just think, just watch that again because it's easy viewing, isn't it?
Yeah, you can turn your brain off and go, actually, that was just good, honest background telly. Like if you're doing something like potting around the house doing housework or something, you go, it's just on in the background, and it's just nice to have it there, and it just feels right. Whereas these episodes, you go, nah.
It's interesting because Ruby, I thought she was great in the Christmas episode, and I'm getting a bit tired of her now. And I don't know what it is. I think I said it the other week. She's become a know-it-all very quickly. And in Dot and Bubble, she was grating on me a bit. But the Christmas episode, they were both great. And I think it's because, I said it before, there wasn't much of them. And they were but now they're both in there all the time. The performances are a bit, I don't know. Shooty's all right, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of energy, but he's annoying me a little bit now. And she is as well, which is really annoying. It's annoyed me personally because I like them at Christmas and I still like the Christmas episode. But but I don't know.
I've had a thought. Put Chuti in a Tennant episode and put what's her name? Molly or Ruby into a companion for the same episode, and you go, actually, would that writing with those characters, because obviously like Tennant's quite energy as well, would a Chuti work in a Tennant episode? And part of me thinking, I don't know.
He's not had, and even with Dot and Bubble, he didn't have it. He's not had. Each Doctor has to have their serious moment, don't they? They have to have that kind of family of blood kind of moment where they flip and they're really kind of. He's not had that yet. At the moment, he's all bouncy, sort of like spaniel wagging tail puppy kind of excitement. But we've not had that serious, dead serious moment yet. He's cried a lot. So I don't think he could do serious Tennant episodes, but he could do I don't know, some of the more light-hearted ones.
Tooth and Claw, like the werewolf one.
Yeah, he could do that.
So you make her Rose and him Tennant, and actually, if you swap those characters around, would they be as annoying as we're finding them at the moment?
No, I think Ruby could quite easily slot into any of those because she's that standard companion at the moment. She's just getting a bit annoying, but then they all did, except for Martha and not Billy. What am I saying? Bill. But Bill's only there for a season, and so is Martha. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
She's becoming quite know-it-all quite quickly, but they're all getting know-it-all, and that's what always annoyed me. So I suppose it's not her personally. It's just I don't like a know-it-all companion. I prefer my companions like the old school where they don't really know what's going on, and it's more. But that's the way it is. Him, no, he can't. He couldn't do a Capaldi, definitely. I don't think. I have not seen him do serious acting yet, like proper in your face, not shouting. He shouts too much. If he does serious and does it quiet, it'll be a lot better. But I assume this will come at the end of the series properly. Shall we move on to Dot and Bubble, or is there anything else left for 73 and a quarter inches, or whatever it was?
Right. Let's get the bar ready once again.
So, Dot and Bubble. Interesting. First proper sci-fi episode of the series, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, first proper... Boom didn't really count, really. This was a proper, obviously, sci-fi... It felt like a proper Doctor Who episode, if that makes sense, to a certain extent, where you got the feeling it was, this is kind of Doctor Who-ish, sci-fi, monster, bit of a mystery going on, Doctor's there to save you, although the Doctor's hardly ever in it. But we kind of understood why that was at the end. So yeah, for me, it felt like a New Who proper, like a filler episode for Doctor Who, but it was a sci-fi one, definitely. There was no goblins or fantasy involved, was there? It was Black Mirror light. That was what a lot of people said, and I agree.
Yeah,
it was black. It was
the obvious dig at social media, which is absolutely
it was Black Mirror.
Should be dug out. Yeah,
it did actually. That whole concept of social media, and you could see that's an extension of what could happen in the future. That was kind of that was a good Doctor Who-ish commentary on what could happen in the future to a certain extent.
And in fact, the lead lass couldn't actually function without her bubble. And you go, you can see
that happening now these days.
And the fact that they're so blinkered by their own goings on that actually the rest of the world is irrelevant. I can see absolutely all of that. But I just, again, it's just what was the point of it?
The point probably came at the end.
Yeah.
That
again, it's all this build up for a 2 minutes at the end.
It felt obviously. I think that was what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a Black Mirror style episode where it was taking a look at stuff. I'm trying to. I think obviously, should we talk about? We might as well talk about the racism thing. Get that out of the way because that was a lot of what the ending was about. I thought it was interesting because they were obviously going to do. They said they were going to do it. They were going to touch on the Doctor's race at some point in the show. In some ways, they did it in a way which was better than I was expecting. I'm interested to see what they do next week's episode because they're going back in time. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be some comment there. But the way they did it, I suppose, in some ways, was not overtly kind of in your face racism. It was done in a clever way. I'm going to give him that. It was clever, and it was clever in the sense. I suppose this is in the way that you didn't. It was kind of, it was there, but you didn't notice it. If that makes sense, it wasn't until you started to go through the episode going, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And then it wasn't until it hit home at the end, you suddenly go, oh, right, now I understand it.
Admittedly, watching it tired was not a good plan, I don't think.
It was subtly done.
It threw me because obviously she was going on saying, oh, you two are in the same room. And you're going, right? Because you've literally got a pair of twins in the same frame.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And there was I missed some of the references about, she said about him getting disciplined or something like that. Or I'll listen to him, but he's going to get disciplined later or something like that. That I missed that bit. And it's just like, oh, yeah, you look back on it and you just think, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And again, it's a case of there's a system that's eating its own inhabitants for a reason that...
Let's talk about the OCD slugs, shall we? Because that was what really annoyed me with the episode. So these are slugs that we have assumed the dot and bubble thing has created because it's got annoyed with the people it's serving. These are slugs who are OCD because they're doing it in alphabetical order. Why? Is it because... they've got a list. Well, where did they get the list from? Did Dot and Bubble create the list? Did they get it from somewhere else? Are they just really OCD that they decided to do it that way? And then suddenly you get that shot of the homeworld and the slugs have taken over the homeworld. But then is that because the Dot and Bubble was on the homeworld? It was implied that it was these kids who had it and their parents didn't. So we never got that explained. You just saw that one shot of like the slug taking over the home.
But then again, you see the mum in the bubble, don't you? Because the parent appears, but obviously if they're already gone.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So that annoyed me. So it was at that point I was getting annoyed, and I missed some of the subtle racism because I was getting annoyed with other things. And it was like, well, we're not going to find out who these slugs are. They've just been created. How were they created? Why were they created? Doctor Who... Old Who, New Who always used to explain where an alien came from or where a villain came from. Even if it was subtle, they used to explain it. But this was, they just got created and they were really anal and they went down the list and started eating you because that's what they do.
And it's not just they told you where they came from. They gave an idea of motivation. And you're going, eating someone alphabetically because you have a list, that's not a motivation. It's just, okay. And why?
It would have been better if they were the natural inhabitants of that planet who were breaking in and eating people. Or it would have been really clever if they were just invading the planet and doing it subtly. That was what I thought was happening at the start. I thought, this is quite clever. These are sneaking about, eating people in like cold blood, and they're not noticing because they're too brain dead to notice. But no, it was just a weird thing.
Towards the end, you had the matey boy September, and then she goes, he changed his name from like Beavers or something, and then suddenly the little red thing literally shoots him in the head. And I went, what the hell?
That's what ruined the ending for me, because the whole racism thing at the end, I missed it because I was more intrigued with the fact that she was an absolute bitch, and I thought I was waiting because that came and I was like, ooh, that's quite good. She's not as helpless as she makes out. She's a bit of a bitch. And I thought that she was going to end up being a bitch at the end, and she was going to kind of get away with it, and that would have been the ending shot of her being a bitch. And actually she wasn't as nice as... So I
make her the villain of the piece. Yeah. And suddenly everyone's a villain, and we're going, what?
And I missed the racism thing. I think because I didn't because I was getting annoyed with that. Millie Gibson acted really weird in that scene, and she was kind of obviously reacting to what the Doctor was saying, but the way her body language was, it didn't sit right in the scene, and it kind of distracted me because I'm going, well, she's a bitch. Well, that's great, but why is she looking like that? As if in my head, I was thinking it was as if the Doctor and Ruby knew that she was a bitch, and that was why they'd kind of picked her out of the list. But because of that, I missed the connotations of what they were saying because I wasn't really paying attention, and I was like, oh. And at the end, I realised what was going on. But it felt like they could have made out this dim-witted girl, whether she was really dim-witted but really ruthless, and was actually
And again, using the whole dot thing, if the dot system is killing people, why make slugs? When you literally see the dot acting like a bullet. Oh look, I'm going to kill this person. Bang, done. Move on. Why make a race of slug things to just exist?
That's why they should have been sentient life forms. So maybe the dot had let them in, or the computer system had actually let these things in. It would have been more plausible. What else?
Because the guy's literally fighting off a metal pipe, and the next thing you know, it's just literally he gets shot in the head by a metal ball.
And they've all got metal balls in front of their faces. They could have all been killed in order
instantly
if they wanted to. Why prolong the agony? It doesn't make sense. I never thought of that. It actually doesn't make sense.
Why are you creating a race of slugs? Why are the slugs there? What do they eat? Why are they eating you for? What happens when they've eaten everybody? Do they eat each other? Do they just exist? Who knows? What I mean?
Yeah.
A story should stand up to basic scrutiny, and if I can tear it apart that much when I'm half asleep, God help the rest of us.
Because I think with Doctor Who, you can turn your brain off to a certain extent, can't you? And go, oh, I'll let that go.
Yeah.
But now you mentioned it. Why didn't the dots just kill them all instantaneously or in alphabetical order, however, really fast? Why produce these slugs and kill them very slowly over a couple of weeks? And then kill the home world with more slugs.
Yeah. And again, like with the whole dot and bubble thing, actually, if the Doctor's turned up, he's going, oh, I can't get in. He said even the thing keeps me out because of the shields. You go, but you're in there. You're literally, if they're coming through a conduit, surely you can come through the same conduit.
Yeah, just go back the way they're going out.
Yeah, I just, when you just go, I'm sorry, if it can keep the TARDIS out, then you are not escaping. End of discussion.
Oh, God.
The thing literally phases through existence. He just goes, I don't care, I'm coming. I have a shield. That's nice for you. I
don't know.
It's like the code thing they were typing in. I'm going, okay, does that open all the conduits at the same time? Or cause how many other people got there? Have they got their own little code thing they're typing in? And actually, if there is, you have a sonic screwdriver. Who cares?
Yeah, because who's giving them, the other people, the codes? Because he implied that they were only speaking to her.
Yeah, and again, how is he if he can't get into the city? How is he accessing the system using the dot and bubble thing? He's going, I've got a sonic screwdriver. I press the buttons. Cool. I'm unblockable. All right. You've just made yourself out to be an internet troll.
Yeah.
You're going, all right, okay, and I mean, this is a sleep deprived, hasn't eaten for far too many hours, running on 10% me. God help us if I'd actually been awake.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. You're going, Doctor Who, you just better watch it and go, yeah, that makes sense in its own world. You go, I have a TARDIS, therefore I'm basically God. I can do whatever I want to. But whatever they're doing makes sense in that context. So, it just didn't.
Yeah, that's it. It's a pretty good way to look at it. If it makes sense in its own world, it's fine. It doesn't have to make sense in this world, but as long as it makes sense in its own world.
Well, we've said that before. Whenever you're writing fantasy, you need to set your rules for your fantasy world, like the 13 regenerations. Why do they exist? Why are they there? What is it? A hard rule? Is it a soft rule? Blah blah blah. And you go, well, actually, if you're going to have rules, you need to stick to them. Like the Sonic not working on wood. Well, why isn't it working on wood for? Because it's a screwdriver, of course. It's just, it's just a whole. Yeah, if you're going to have if you're going to write a fantasy piece that has a coherent story, you've got to have rules that you follow, and this didn't seem to follow anything. You go, I've just hacked into their system that I can't access because there's a shield that I can't get through, but I'm through it. Because did I miss it? Was I not paying attention?
No.
Did I get a text message and not work out what was going on? Just
what more could you say?
And then next week we get to see Captain Jack recast, and both lose our fucking minds. So it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be. He's not going to be Captain Jack, but he's going to be the replacement for Captain Jack. He's going to be a
Captain
carbon
Jim.
copy. Yeah, it won't be like Captain John. It'll be basically a carbon copy, a roguish character that likes having sex with people that they can use instead of John Barrowman. He's going to be called somebody else, but that is who he's going to be. And they said at the end of that episode, it's going to be like shock for the Doctor. So I'm going to say that he's a time agent, and he was the one that kidnapped him as a child and brought him to this galaxy or something like that. There'll be something to do with that because we haven't had the time as child for at least 2 weeks. So he'll have something to do with it.
Oh, make it stop.
This is one more episode before the double finale. So we're no closer.
Oh, finally, a double feature.
Yeah. It's like old times, isn't it? It's like, we'll squash the whole series into this and have a double feature. Susan Twist turned up again, didn't she?
Yeah.
And they both recognised her this time. The one thing that I read an article on, which is interesting, that even though that wasn't a face-to-face interaction, anytime she's been like physically there, the Doctor hasn't had her back to it. There's not been looking her in the eye. So the tea lady, he had his back to her. When they were in the nightclub in the Christmas episode, he was stood to one side. He didn't encounter her at all in Wales. So she's the only one that's actually seen her multiple times. So who knows? And she's apparently one of the main characters in this finale thing as this businesswoman, Susan Triad, I think the actual character's name is, and the Triad technology has been mentioned about 3 or 4 times over the course of things. It better pay off all right, because I'm getting it's like Bad Wolf, but really cheap.
Bad Wolf.
Bad Wolf was good because it was subtle, wasn't it? It was subtle.
Yeah.
This isn't subtle. This is like it's like this next series where it was tortured. It's like Susan Twist, like just waving in front of your face.
Well, that's the thing, like Bad Wolf, because you weren't expecting it, just chilled out. It was just, here's a bit of graffiti, here's something. And then suddenly you go, wait a minute, it's a recurring thing, whereas this is, hello, bump. There you go.
Yeah. So she's either going to have something to do with moving the story on, or she's going to be directly something. Someone said that Susan Triad is an acronym for TARDIS. Stupid idea, I think, to be honest. We had what's her face back, didn't we? Oh, next door neighbour was in 73 yards. Yeah, forgot about her. About knowing what a TARDIS is. Don't know. Don't care. Something else. Oh, random thing. I'm just jumping around. You remember in Boom? Do you remember in Boom the name of? I can't remember the name of the company. The arms company that had all the ambulances and stuff like that. I can't remember what it's called. The end of the V. Nice little callback to way back to Are You My Mummy episode with when Captain Jack first came in. The bomb that was in London was made by the same company, and Captain Jack referenced it, and the Doctor said, I visited their factory, and then he said, oh yeah, they no longer existed, their factory blew up. He said, I only visited once, and it's not the whole concept that the Doctor actually destroyed them in the past and the future. I thought it was quite nice. I can't remember the exact line, but I thought, oh yeah, that's quite a nice callback to that episode. Sorry, jumping around.
But I had a thought. If he had visited them once, and obviously the factory's gone, then how does it appear later on?
Well, yes, it's probably timey-wimey. What are they in the past, in the future, or somewhere in between?
Who knows? Yeah.
I heard, I've seen a few people talk about a rumour for the finale. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, intrigue me.
So, spoilers, folks, if you're listening, watching, whatever, turn your ears off now. But a lot of people have said that Sean Pertwee is going to be in it, playing, obviously, his dad, playing the third Doctor.
What?
Which is interesting. Because you've seen the pictures of him when he went Halloween one year, didn't he? He dressed up as his dad, and he looks uncannily like him.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting if they do it, how that figures into this whole new Who concept of not talking about the past ever, unless it's a timeless child, and just not doing that at all. I don't know. I've just thought something else. Sorry, I just remembered something else. Yeah. It's old Doctors. So, 73 yards, Doctor disappears. My son pointed this out again because he's hot on this. She sat down with Lethbridge Stewart saying, "Oh, the Doctor's not here to protect Earth anymore, so we're having to do it, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "What about that other Doctor? The previous one? He's still there, isn't he?" And he was, wasn't he? Of course.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is the Doctor's disappeared and his predecessor on the same timeline has not gone, "I better do something about that, haven't I? Where's my future self gone? Oh, I know. I'll have another cup of tea. Donna, get me some more scones." I'm not going anywhere.
This is the problem. You can't have a static Doctor just sitting there with his feet up going, "Oh no, anyone's coming. Better let that other chap sort that one out."
Right, that's it. We're going to call him the Static Doctor from now on.
Yeah.
Because that's what he is. But the whole concept, the Doctor's not here anymore. He's not protecting Earth. Well, you've got the other one.
He's literally sat in London, back garden in London drinking tea.
Yeah. So he has to be there. You can't... The worst thing... Forget everything else that Russell T Davies has done, right or wrong. The worst thing he's done is left that guy alive. He should have killed him off. Bi-generated him and killed him. Because it just creates this awful black hole that anytime they write anything of any importance, you can't have any, what's the word? There's no fate. There's no kind of threat because there's always going to be a second Doctor knocking about.
Yeah. And, well, at least one Doctor knocking about because obviously by generation they all split, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't want to go down that route.
I hate throwaway luck, but this is a problem. Just have a set of rules. Make your rules. Don't fluff with them. Just have a set of bloody rules. Regeneration is a thing. Use it. And actually, like the bi-generation, do it as a one-off and kill him. Yeah,
kill him. Yeah, and not... Because the thing is, the whole thing about all the other Doctors being alive, that wasn't... And this is where it gets really ambiguous and it's even more frustrating. That wasn't officially in the episode. That was in the commentary where Russell was sitting there laughing with his mates going, "Oh, yeah," and Paul McGann. The Sylvester McCoy woke up on the slab. And it's... You can't say that to fandom because it's like... It's been really flippant with it. You should either say they're alive or they're dead. And don't make a flippant comment about it.
Yeah, and they should have killed 14 off properly.
Done the book by generation, and then just had him die.
Yeah, and just having Thanos snap or something, just phase out of existence. Just I've reached the energy, I cease to exist. Just phase away. Because otherwise, having him sitting in Donna's back garden cheapens the whole 10th Doctor sacrifice and all that lot. You're going, well,
the whole thing we talked about before. It's all just
stop giving him a happy ending. He doesn't need it because he just keeps going. That's why you don't need a happy ending. And as for therapy in reverse, I hate that so much. I'm letting the rage out for a second. You can't do these. Yeah, you can't do these stupid, balmy, bloody throwaway ideas. And go, I did therapy in reverse because you're now feeling better. I'm feeling better because I've done 1,000 years of therapy. No, you haven't. You're literally the same person 10 seconds later. That's not how anything works. Have a rule, stick to them. Hate it.
So 73 yards was ruined because the 14th Doctor should have saved everybody. And he should have come in and helped Ruby solve that mystery. And actually, that would have been a really cool episode, wouldn't it? If he'd come back in, helped her, save himself, and then wandered off again.
Yeah. And this is a problem. Any Earth-based thing, you can literally swan in wearing a coat, fix it, and go, peace out, I'm done. I'm going to bloody Vegas.
I fixed 73 yards for us, right? So it happens the way it happens, but the blurry old woman isn't a blurry old woman. It's actually old Tennant. So the whole concept is he has to save Ruby by taking her place to create that time loop, and that's how we get rid of the 14th Doctor. He's in fact that person doing the sign language because he has to replace it, and that's how they could have got the 14th Doctor out, is have him become Gollum Doctor just on the balls, then Gollum Doctor forever doing that thing. There you go. Could have fixed it. I don't know. So jumping back,
we've said this before. Is it bad, or are we just remembering the older series with such rose-tinted spectacles that...
I think that is part of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because we lived it, we went through it, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And those Christopher Eccleston's era, great. Tennant's era, great. Matt Smith's era, great. Got a bit shoddy towards the end. Peter Capaldi was brilliant, and again, some of his episodes were stellar episodes, and then some of them were absolutely shoddy, but they were great. And I think, I don't know, Jodie Whittaker's thing brought it down. Let's be honest. That's what broke fandom, and that's not just that in isolation. The whole world had gone mad by that point anyway, gone very polarized, and it hasn't come out of that polarization yet. The whole concept of you have to pick a side and you can't be in the middle, etc., etc. And obviously, the writing has changed to the point, like we said earlier in this podcast, is who is it for? Who is Russell? Who is Russell writing this for? Is he writing it for himself? Which partly I think he is. Is he writing it for that very niche audience that isn't straight and white and male? Yes, I think he is. Is he trying to write it to reclaim past glories? Possibly. Is that working these days? Could you, there's a question, release a David Tennant series? What was his best series? Probably, I think it was one with the Master in it. So what's that series? Martha's series is always my fave. Could you release that series today, and would it do as good as it did back then? I think it's good telly. I think it stands up. But I don't know. TV's changed a lot.
Like we said, TV has changed
a lot in 20 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think what you hit the nail on the head. This series hasn't got an identity. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know who it's pitching it to. And I think that is the key, because it is pitching it to an audience that is so diverse now that it's like, where's who is? They must do this marketing research inside where they actually know who they're trying to write for. But yeah, I think partly Russell's writing it for himself because he can, because he's got the freedom to do it nowadays.
I think when we're sort of saying about personality, who is the Doctor now as well? It's
not really.
You've got he hasn't. Yeah, like yes, Eccleston was the post-war coming down from the Time War. Tennant was the bubbly, I'm dealing with it in my own way kind of thing.
Oh, but was that quote? Sorry, carry on. There's a quote.
Yeah. And
Capaldi was very much the alien, which made him
that
which I always thought was brilliant. Right, hang on. It was the War Doctor quote about when he was describing the other two, and he described 10 and 11 about who they were. It's like the man who forgets and the man who I can't remember what it was. It's going to annoy me now. And it was that each Doctor had a personality based on the Time War. They were all anchored in the Time War, weren't they? So you had Christopher Eccleston was anchored in the Time War. Tennant was anchored to 11, anchored in the Time War. 12, not so much, but that he had the whole concept that he was more alien. 13 was voice of space, because they've gone so far away from the Time War. They've kind of, this whole timeless child thing is the new anchor. Because they said, oh, yes, all right, being a foundling, this is kind of the new thing. And I don't think that's working as well. Whereas the Time War was quite easy to explain because it's not a big mystery box. It was The Time Lords are all dead, bang. The Daleks are all dead, just about, bang. And the Doctor was the one that killed them all. That's all you needed to know. Even with when the War Doctor and the whole concept, we found out what happened. You still did. It still made sense because they both forgot.
Yeah. The whole what is 15's personality, and like we joked, well, for want of a better phrase, in the early episodes, it was the one who runs away, and he's just going. He hasn't got that. There's no. I'm going to sound cliche. There's no catchphrase. There's no outfits. There's no defining trait. That's the one I'm looking for. Defining traits. There's just what are you, other than
I think that's in some ways that's another thing which they've done. They're trying to be quite quirky with it and giving him style. But the Doctor, even 13, had her own style. But because they keep giving him new outfits every episode, he hasn't got the defined coat, bow tie, fez, black jacket, smoking jacket, whatever you want to call it. It's all thing. Oh, it's quite quirky, and it's all kind of like sort of like postmodern, that kind of stuff. But no, there's no defining thing. Yeah, he's got that brown leather coat, which he's worn a couple of times, which I suppose is easy to define in costume. But there's no. Yeah, he hasn't, and again, it's what you said. He's not had enough episodes to gain a personality, really, because Christmas one doesn't count. First one, Space Babies, was just the exhibition dump. Second one, he was in the 60s, didn't count. Third one, he was stood on a landmine crying for most of the episode. Fourth one, he wasn't even in it.
Wasn't in,
yeah. And Dot and Bubble, he wasn't really in it either. So he's not had a proper episode, really, in the future. So in the only one he's had where he's actually been in it for most of it was the Maestro thing, and he was wearing a 60s suit, so it didn't really count. So and the next one, he's in I can't say it. He's in the past, and he's wearing another costume. So he's not.
Elizabethan times, isn't it?
I can't say Elizabethan. My words aren't working. So he's not even wearing a definitive costume then. So he shouts a lot, and he cries a lot, and he runs away. That's all we've got so far.
Yeah, that's like we said. You could sum up every other Doctor in a couple of words or a short sentence, whereas 15 hasn't got it.
There's the quote.
And is that intentional?
It might be that they've obviously written it in such a way that they don't make it there's no. He's supposed to be. I suppose you touched on it with your displeasure. He's supposed to not have any of the angst of the previous ones because he's had his therapy, and he's not running away anymore and all that kind of bullshit. So maybe that's his personality. He's especially fun-loving and like not got any anger. Just doing lots of things. But that's the whole point. Even the Doctors of old had that kind of. That was part of their personality, that they were. Even before the Time War, what's the word? Damaged.
Grumpy old men.
Yeah, damaged because of all the stuff they'd seen and done and didn't want to do and were forced to do. But now he's like, yeah, brilliant. The quote was, the man who regrets, as in 10, and the man who forgets, 11. So they were all anchored to the Time War in one shape or another. Those are the days. John Hurt, there you go. There was a Doctor.
Miss him.
One freaking episode, and those. You want the Big Finish stuff? I haven't heard the ones recently where the guy who does the impression of him does some of his younger stuff, but the ones that actually John Hurt did are really good. It's worth listening to them because they're just spot on.
Are we going to seriously end another podcast just feeling depressed?
I'm still holding out for the big reveal being good.
That's if for those who are just listening, Tim's face was please, God, please, just a look of just absolute please.
That's all I've got left, really, at the moment. This next episode is going to be marred by me getting very angry at them recasting Captain Jack, because it's what's going to happen. Let's face it, it's going to happen. And then it's the big reveal, and the big reveal better be a good payoff, because this is what we've been fed since Christmas, that she is someone special. We had snow again, didn't we, in one of these previous episodes? The 73 yards, so it's there.
Yes, and it stopped snowing, didn't it? It stopped snowing at some point. Yeah.
So why did it stop snowing? Because the Doctor wasn't there.
No reason. Yeah.
Who knows? It's... Oh, they're showing it in cinemas, aren't they? Back to back. Right? Yeah, it's going to be hilarious. Midnight showing. That one person's going to turn up. If I wasn't old and we should have done it, it'd been hilarious. But we did it in the cinema once, and that was funny enough. I don't think we could recapture that magic.
Well, just the
Zoe Ball.
Oh God! Oh no! Yes! Oh yeah!
I think that was where the phrase "kill it with fire" was born.
Oh, I hated every second of it, didn't I?
Yeah. No, they're showing. So the finale is in cinemas, and an hour before, so at 11 o'clock, you can watch the previous episode in the cinema, and then at 12 o'clock, you can watch the latest one back to back. And Russell's in a desperate plea to get people to go to the cinema. He's like, oh, it's going to get spoiled. You don't want to get spoiled. It's going to be massive. Biggest finale ever, he said. Biggest finale ever. So it might end up being spoilers. Don't turn off if you're listening. It could be the third Doctor might be in it, but who knows? I will not be going to cinema at 12 midnight on the June the 18th. You could trust me, I will be watching it Saturday during the daytime.
The problem is, if this had been like 2010, that era, we would have done it.
Yeah. I don't think I was going to turn up.
Yeah, now it's going, we just don't care. And like we said, this is the problem. The question we keep coming back to: are we even fans anymore? Is it? Yeah.
I think that whole thing with putting it on Disney Plus at midnight is ruined it, because it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be really exciting. But no, if you put it in the cinemas at 7 o'clock in the evening on British time, it'd be great. I would have done it. Probably would have done it as well for a laugh. But it's like midnight. Oh, please! I can't be asked. Really,
and again, who is your target audience? Because if it's a family show, a midnight viewing.
Yeah. And I think
the ratings... I know they've done midnight viewings of things like Star Wars and stuff like that, because you go, I really want to see it, and I've got a dedicated fan base, but this isn't that.
No, the ratings prove that. They only gain an extra 2 million people from iPlayer anyway. So people aren't watching it at midnight. They just aren't. I think that's it. The excitement's not there, and the enthusiasm, oh yeah, we must watch it at midnight, it's not there anymore. It would have been if they'd released it on midnight in, I don't know, where are we? 2007, 2008, 2009, whatever. People would have sat up and watched it at that time.
Yeah.
But the enthusiasm's gone.
And for context, obviously I didn't get to see last week's because I wasn't around, and it took me until an hour and a half before recording to watch them. Because he's going, I just can't be bothered. Part of me is thinking I need to be fresh in my mind to just let the rage out. But by the same token, I'm going, I just can't be asked. And
well.
Yeah.
It's the running now, though, isn't it? 3 weeks, a raging episode next week, and then the final, whatever that's going to be, and then that's it done.
Yeah.
And then it'll be Christmas Day, won't it?
So are they doing both final episodes in 1 week, or
no? It's 1 week after the other. So, where are we? June the 8th. That's the one with Captain Jack Mark II. June the 15th is part 1 of the finale, and June 22nd is part 2 of finale. But they're showing them back to back in the cinema on the 22nd.
On the 22nd.
Yeah. So you watch the previous week's episode, at 11 p.m, and then you watch that episode at 12 p.m.
Oh, if it's only 12:45, it's going to finish. No, I can't.
Do the podcast from the car park.
Yeah, I don't want to be able to go to that cinema. That's the problem. For throwing things at the screen.
I wonder if
I can't face Zoe Ball again.
Oh, she won't be there. She's long gone. Let's just see if it's. I don't know if it's even if it's on at my cinema. I don't think it's on at like loads of cinemas like it was in the past. There we are. Doctor Who in cinemas.co.uk. No, it's not on. Jeez. Yeah, it's not.
Where is it on?
Let's have a look without saying where we live. Oh no, I stand corrected. It is on at my cinema.
Ooh,
starting at
what about mine?
10:45, and then the next one is. Hang on, let's just see if that is. It's stand corrected. It looks quite busy. There's a lot of seats booked out.
Really?
Yeah, that's quite surprising. That. Let's turn up. Let's have a look at your one. Oh yeah, there's your one. That's changes. Oh, I don't want to log in. Can I see the seats? I have to pick.
Show me seats.
Let's just pick that random. Confirm tickets. Your one's a tiny screen. And there's a few people. It's not as busy as my one, and my one has got a massive screen. It seems to be quite full. So people are turning up in your place too.
Well, perhaps I might have to go just to see who the audience's stupid show is.
That's weird. I genuinely didn't think it'd be that busy. But there you go. Well,
like the Metro said, it's not for us.
No.
I really sound jaded about that, don't I?
Yeah, it's like the only article that came out. They haven't done any more inflammatory articles since that first week. I wonder why. It's all gone a bit quiet.
Ah, well.
There we are.
We have shouted for a little while. Yeah.
I'm still positive. 6 out of 10, still positive. It'll drain out of me over the next 3 weeks, but
So next week we get to do it all again and see Tim have an actual meltdown on podcast.
Yeah.
For this
it's coming.
Crime that the next episode is going to be.
It's coming. It's going to be Captain Jack Mark II. It's going to be something like that. That's all it's going to be. Guarantee it.
Oh, it's going to be Captain Jack's, isn't it? Spelled with like a QUES.
Oh, or an X.
Oh, I'm calling it now. Yes.
JAX. It's going to be like that, isn't it?
Yeah, Captain Jack's, darling. You're going, yes, that's the one.
No, and it'll be he delivered the baby when.
Of course he did. Yeah.
When the doctor was a child. So that's
or he's a dad. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be his dad. Yeah. Or it could be Ruby. Or he's another doctor. That'll be what it is. He's just another doctor.
Yeah, because they just 10 a penny now.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's Ruby. He's just Ruby.
8 went away and regenerated a few times, and this is a different version from another timeline for a multiverse of doctors. On that note, we need to call it a day before we just go off on one.
Radio.
So
more shaking those fists at clouds next week.
Yeah.
Until then.
Yeah. Ta-ra.
Cheerio.